Web Security. This is a presentation by Nehemiah Brown and Lisa Maine for SRA 221. The Internet is filled with websites that vastly connect information across the globe through complex networks. Unfortunately, since most websites contain vital information that could be obtained easily by cyber criminals, they are susceptible to security risks. This means that web servers that are connected to these web networks are also at risk of a breach of data and important information, which could be used negatively. Web servers can be considered the service windows that open networks which allow them to be accessible to the entire world. The strength level of the website security would ultimately be its best defense depending on the design of that window. Engineering the window design to filter the amount of information and the data type needed to pass through would be the key method of determining the dependability of web security. A great example for a service window would be when we use email services. When email services and different web technologies congregate in accord, the risk of creatively crafted security threats can be hidden in many online exchanges. Due to the growing need to eradicate possible data breach nightmares, web security technologies with a more holistic approach are exceedingly in demand for internet-driven environments. Web security is the protection of websites, specifically web applications and internet systems. Applying proper countermeasures for web security concerns and employing strict policies to internet systems are some of the integral steps which should be taken for the confidentiality of information delivery and data storage for networks in cyberspace. The internet usage as a means of communicating to others has increased by individuals, companies, and government entities. The internet has proven its value as a convenient way for exchanging messages, data, and online storage. The adverse effect to this convenience, for example, is the rise of mass mailing of computer viruses as well as other malicious activity threatening the web security of all its users. Web security has become the most common technological concern since some information online has a higher risk of vulnerability to new emerging attacks, setting in existence a cyber war of hackers and security experts. The existence of cyber criminals with the ability to continually change cyber attack strategies is the reality that web experts often face, fighting the same war repeatedly but defending against different tactics of the hacking community. Hackers are well known for developing malicious web technology targeting lucrative opportunities to defraud and make money, resulting in many internet users becoming frustrated and administrators spending large amounts of precious time fighting against these issues. When a machine is infected, administrators with low technical knowledge often try reinstalling the operating system with the hope of fixing the system after an attack. However, a knowledgeable system administrator investigates and assesses the situation before taking action to repair targeted systems. Additionally, some malware creates by design a denial of service, increasing the possibility of an attack on the organization's infrastructure. Most organizations do understand denial of service very well and are aware that this type of attack impacts productivity, confidentiality, and integrity of an organization. Attackers can access the organization's confidential information and use this information to sell to third parties to make a profit. A static web page is delivered to the user exactly as it is stored on the server. The site displays the same set of stored information for all users, making static web designs subjected to the modern capabilities of a web server. A dynamic web page uses coding such as PHP, ASP, and JSP. These types of websites are connected to a server that generates unique content every time a page is loaded. The term phishing refers to attacks where the victim is led to believe that they are on a legitimate website or in correspondence with a company email, when in fact it is just a copy of the real one. Cybercriminals have also set up websites that exploit security holes in the web browser, as this technology allows them to gain access to either the host computer or network without the victim's knowledge. The majority of websites require the use of third-party add-ons such as Adobe Flash Player and Acrobat Reader. Both of these widely used products have become cybercriminals' favorite method to target victims. While automating remote code execution is very attractive for attackers, there are many times when this level of sophistication is not required to compromise the end user's computers. While the web offers much greater scope for attackers, email still remains a powerful tool for an attack. Combined with the web, the threats not only multiply, but the risk that the user becomes a willing prey is high. The authentication server is a network service that helps in the process of authenticating the identifications of account names and passwords. It is the security check for any user to access or enter a portion of the web which is confidential and only for users with valid passwords to enter. After submitting credentials, it receives a cryptographic ticket that is used to access various web services. Authentication is used as the basis for authorization that determines that a user is who they claim to be and whether a privilege may be granted to them. It ensures privacy to keep information from becoming accessed by non-participants. Major authentication algorithms include passwords, Kerberos, and public key encryption. When a web user first tries to access a URL in the protected section, the server responds by requesting authentication. The web browser then displays an authentication dialog to the users, except for SGD or Secure Global Desktop users who do not see the login screen of the SGD. The user then types in a username and password that is sent to the web server by the browser. The user credentials are authenticated by the web server and access is then allowed to the URL requested. The web browser then caches the credentials of the user because they must be sent with every request to the protected URL. The browser automatically sends the user's credentials that have been cached either temporarily until the user closes the browser window or permanently on the host computer. A mismatched domain message is a warning for the user who is trying to visit a website but is unaware about its authenticity. Security error domain name mismatch, as shown, flashes if you try making a secure connection to a server whose domain does not match the domain name in the certificate that it returned. This means that the website you have visited might not be the original source. It is also possible that the website changed their domain name but did not buy a certificate for the new domain. Security error server certificate expired, as shown, also appears when the certificate expiration date is later than your system date. An incorrect system time or old certificate can also be the reason for a mismatched domain error. So it is completely up to the user to decide whether he is on the correct web page or not by looking at the URL in the browser window. A mismatched domain is a method used by hackers to capture your username and password when you log in, or even your credit card information when you buy something on a website. If you are using your ISP as your email provider, it might be best not to guess whether the message is valid. Calling the site's help desk to find out if they are aware of the website's unusual behavior is the best course of action. If you decide that there is nothing alarming about the message, then you can check the error box to create a security exception so that the computer stops warning you and allows you to proceed to use the website. The mismatched domain name is a method used by hackers to capture your username and password when you log in, or even your credit card information when you buy something on a website. If you are using your ISP as your email provider, it might be best not to guess whether the mismatched domain message is a result of an expired certificate or domain name change. Calling the website's help desk to find out if they are aware of their website's unusual behavior is the best course of action. If you decide that there is nothing alarming about the message, then you can check the error box to create a security exception so that the computer stops warning you and will allow you to proceed to use the website.
Security message. Please call the number provided as soon as possible. You will be guided for the removal of the adware spyware virus on your computer. Seeing these pop-ups means that you have a virus installed on your computer which puts the security of your personal data at a serious risk. It's strongly advised that you call the number provided and get your computer.
This is an example of a Windows error message that was generated in response to an unmatched domain name. Thank you for viewing our presentation on web security.